We did it! We did it,
We did
Joe!
it! We're finally doing this.
Well,
They
she's
want to, they
Cyrene,
won't.
I'm Sylvia, and this is Films and Chill.
Ta-da!
Well, I'm Sylvia, and right now I don't have a job, so this is why I'm doing this. And I have an Instagram page where I talk and suggest people films. I like movies, and
And
I'm
we
not
like to
gonna
chill.
spoil anything right now because Cyrene needs to present herself.
Hi, I'm Cyrene. I was studying animation and I'm the co-host for Films and Chill.
After, I don't know, 3 months? No,
When did you actually thought about doing this?
before I lost my job. So
Economy.
it was like December, and I started to hate the job so much.
Mhm.
And so I was like, no, I need to find something else to do and to try to gain some money from
Mhm.
something else. And so I was like, why not do this podcast?
Why not give yourself a damn job?
Yeah,
Invented
I'm gonna
yourself.
create my job.
Exactly.
I am my job.
That's so
Yeah.
Gen Z energy.
Yeah, and then it was January, and I started to say like, I need a host. I need a host, and I couldn't find a host. A month ago,
Mhm.
I was like, Cyrene, do you want to do the podcast with me? Because we live in the same city and we can do it. And then she moved to Milan. So it became pretty difficult to produce this, but we're doing it.
We're doing it finally.
We're doing it. We're finally doing it.
Let's begin. And today's episode is about
Favorite films and how they don't need to be objectively good to be our favorite films. Because people think, oh my god, you like this film. It's not that good. I like that film because I like that. I don't need people's opinion on that. And
exactly.
we're gonna start this by telling our favorite films.
Exactly. It's specifically our 4 favorites in Letterboxd.
If you don't know what Letterboxd is, it's a platform where you can log the films that you watch. I would love to also log TV shows, but you don't have that yet. So Letterboxd, if you're watching this, please put the TV shows in a proper way,
Please.
and also sponsor us if you want. On my 4 favorite films,
Let's see.
I have Fight Club, 1999, David Fincher. I don't know what to say about this film because like you need to be a little bit of a psychopath to it. Are your
But
4 favorites?
why do you like it? Like, how come it's in your 4 favorites?
Because I love characters that are like that have mental problems. Like I have a crush on like Tyler Durden, and I don't have a crush on like I like Edward Norton as an actor. I think he's so underrated, but outside of Fight Club, I only like him also in like American History X, and only because he has mental problems to deal with. Also, like, in Primal Fear, great film, one of his first works. He has mental problems also there. I don't know if he has a thing for characters that have mental problems, but I have a thing for characters that have mental problems. So mainly because of that. Then also the spoiler alert. I love the final twist of the film, and
Me too.
so the fact that you discover that Tyler Durden, the character played by Brad Pitt, is a part of the personality of Tyler Durden, the main character of the film played by Edward Norton. And I think that David Fincher is really great at doing this. Is just great at writing characters like this. Maybe also Fincher has some mental problems. I don't know, but
say they're very complex characters.
Yeah, like very problematic too. And I also like the fact that this film is liked by a lot of people, but they didn't actually understand it. Like a lot of people are like, "Oh, I want to be Tyler Durden so bad," and I'm like, "Do you realize that this is a critique to society?
You don't want to be like that.
You don't want to be like that.
It's a torture.
This is like with American Psycho. A lot of people say, "Oh, American Psycho is my favorite film." I'm like, "Why is your favorite film?" And then they're like, "Because I want to be like him." And I'm like, "Do you know that the book was written by a woman? Do you know that the film was directed by a woman?" and it's a critique to society and male alienation and all of that stuff and the male loneliness epidemic in the 2000s. Do you know that?
Mhm.
And they're like, oh, but you say that just because you're a woman. I'm like, okay, fine. That
I'm
your
just a
first film?
girl.
I'm just a girl. Your first film on your four favorites? What is it?
Fallen Angels by Wong Kar-wai.
Wong Kar Wai Chinese
Mhm.
cinema.
Probably little Cyrene would have told me, why the
What
hell
are
do you
your
like this film? Like,
what are
what
your
the hell is
problems?
this? I get you. I was also trying to figure out why I like this film. It was like a dark moment of my life. It just really resonated with me. I guess when you're in your 20s and you don't know what you're doing with your life,
Yeah.
what the hell is love, what the hell is friendship, everything, it just resonated with you. And young me would have told me it's so messy, it's so blurry, like that camera and all, like camera movements, it was so blurry. You're just like, what the hell is going on? That's the thing. Like, you also don't know what's going on. The whole confusion of it just reflects your 20s. So I can understand why people will say, I don't really like this. My favorite films, everyone's favorite films, doesn't have to be objectively good to others. But for me, it really resonated a lot. So taste is subjective.
And also like the fact that this film, which is from 1995, I think,
Hmm.
it's like it created an entire style because
Yeah.
it's I think it's Wong Kar Wai's third film, and like he started the whole genre like, oh my god, Hong Kong in the 90s, and they're
Exactly.
showing like Wong Kar Wai films, and he basically like created an entire genre of like lonely people in neon cities.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Capitalism.
yeah, and like well, I when I first saw it, it was like 2 years ago
Mhm. We were
because
together, right?
yeah,
Yeah, I
because
was.
they were doing a restored version in
Hmm.
4K,
Yeah.
and so they showed it in cinemas, and I watched it, and I really liked it, even though it's not my favorite by Wong Kar Wai. And I could see that, for example, like if you watch Taxi Driver, which was made 20 years before, you can see like where he got the inspiration and all of the stuff, the loneliness of the characters. I have Taxi Driver in my four favorites.
Mm.
Also, I think because of that, not because I resonate with the character. I want to make it very clear that I do not resonate with Travis Bickle. I don't
Disclaimer.
condone his actions in that film, but it's like one of those films that is so well made
Hmm.
that like I'm actually like how nobody like has this in their four favorites. It's technically made really good, and considering that like they didn't have a big budget for the
Hmm.
film, and while they were shooting the scene where there's Travis Bickle, Robert De Niro's character. So spoiler alert
Spoiler alert.
for Taxi Driver, where he starts to speak to himself
Hmm.
in the mirror and is like, "You're talking to me. You're talking to me." In that
Iconic.
iconic, like typical mental breakdown of a girl once a month. So
He's just
typical.
having his
Yeah, it's
period.
just having his period,
He's just a girl.
and and basically when I read somewhere that that scene was improvised, it was not in the script,
Hmm.
and Martin Scorsese was late in the production, and so where there was De Niro doing the scene and Martin Scorsese filming it, there were producers banging the door like, "You're late. We need our money back. We don't want. You have to stop. You're shooting this film and everything." And he was like, "Nah, lock the door. We have to finish this scene." And it basically like it became the most watched scene I think
Hmm.
in like cinema history.
Yeah.
And also like all the vibe, the neo vibe and all of that stuff, like I wish that like
The
Scorsese came back.
cinematography, the
Yeah,
colors.
yeah, I wish that Scorsese came a little bit back to that,
Hmm.
because like after that, well, all his films are great. It's like Steven Spielberg, like he's Jesus. Like he can do everything and he's gonna be good. Like if he did a musical, I will still be like, yeah, it's gonna be great. It's Martin Scorsese. So, but like before that, with De Niro, he did The King of Comedy,
Hmm. Oh, beautiful.
which I think it's on some things it's better
Hmm.
than Taxi Driver. but
On which aspect?
well, on the society aspect, because I think that Taxi Driver is an exaggeration
Mm-hmm.
of a phenomenon, while the King of Comedy is more realistic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's
Like
more like it can,
unmasking as
yeah,
well.
it can
Mm-hmm.
happen. It's, I think that is something that really happened, like
Mm-hmm.
someone kidnapped a presenter or a comedian
Mm-hmm.
because they want to be them or work with them. So I
Mm-hmm.
think it's something that is more true, considering also the period of time where this film came out, which was the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a lot of serial killers and people with a lot of mental
I mean,
problems.
it also inspired Joker, right?
Yeah, Joker.
Mm-hmm.
Joker. It's all Taxi Driver and the
King
King
of
of
Comedy,
Comedy all together.
the love child.
Yeah, yeah, and then became Joker because like Joe, and we're talking about the Joker by played by Joaquin Phoenix and directed by Todd Phillips
Mm-hmm.
in 2019, which he also won the Oscar for it. And so when I see people like, "Oh my God, Joker is my favorite film," I'm like, "Yeah, you also watch. So you also watch Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy, or?" And they're like, "No, never heard of that." He literally copied the whole. Love Todd Phillips, love the Joker. If one day I'm gonna work for you, I'm gonna worship you. But because you made, he also like made the Hangover,
Mm-hmm.
like so the range,
Oh, the
the
range.
range, because like he made the Hangover trilogy, and then he made the Joker, and it's like, are you the same person? Like, are you okay? First of all, what happened in those less than 10 years that made you like that?
Talking
But
about mental breakdown,
yeah,
just a girl.
so yeah, I think in general, like I like Taxi Driver not only as a film but as a cultural impact that the
Mm-hmm.
film had, and the fact that it didn't change cinema history. Oh my God, like everybody makes films different
Mm-hmm.
after Taxi Driver, because it's not in the making of the film, it's how it was perceived
Mm-hmm.
by people worldwide and even in later in generations.
Mm-hmm.
Because like there are some films like that, they don't age well. They don't age fine like wine. And there are like, I don't even know like what to name, but there are films that you watch when, like, for example, my dad really likes John Ford films.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like them. And if you watch them now, you know that it's full of racist shit and things against the Native Americans. And so it's like, well, it can be debatable how good they are. And but then Taxi Driver is one of those films that are like, it aged really good.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot say like, oh my God, no, it's bad. No, it's not bad. Like he aged fine considering other films.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
And it
that's
didn't just stop in film. In films, we're also going to talk about photography, how the visuals
yeah,
also inspired future cinematographers.
yeah. Also the monologue, just
Yeah,
simply
yeah.
the you're talking to me, or like a character talking to herself, to himself in a mirror. It's also from there, but that scene became really iconic. Like there's a film which is called La Haine,
Mm-hmm.
which was a French film, one of the best French films ever made. And there's a scene where there's this character Vincent, played by Vincent Cassel, where he talks in the mirror. You can clearly see
The
that
reference.
the speech and the reference comes from Taxi
Mm-hmm.
Driver. So like he had this film had a big impact
Mm-hmm.
on cinema and how people embrace characters that have mental problems
Mm-hmm. I
in
mean,
some
the
way.
treatment of people with mental problems.
Yeah, and the alienation from society.
Mm-hmm.
Then this was also like the I think it was one of the first films by Jodie Foster, with Jodie Foster.
Mm-hmm.
She's an icon, and she's a lesbian
Mommy.
icon. And it's so fun because this does not concern the films, but I saw a TikTok a
Mm-hmm.
couple weeks ago where there was Jodie Foster like 16, 17, which was dressed as a tomboy. And and people were telling, how did they know like that she was lesbian? They were so clueless that they didn't even know our lesbian look. But like if you watch her, you can clearly see there's something is not adding up.
It's in the radar.
Yeah, it's like it's so obvious, but people in the 70s didn't know how someone gay looked. So they were like, "Oh, how surprised we are that Jodie Foster is gay." I'm like, "How? You didn't see that coming?" So yeah, what's on your list then?
City of God. I think
Ah, we both have that
we
one.
both have it, and we know that some of you guys as well.
Everybody has City of
Everybody
God.
is.
A lot of people have City of God in their favorites.
I remembered watching it for the first time with you.
Yeah, we were in the
Yeah,
yeah.
because they also did the restored version in the cinema, and I didn't have any context about it. I just knew that it was one of Sylvia's favorite films.
Yeah, you always say like Brazilian cinema, Brazilian cinema, Brazilian cinema.
I remembered coming out of the cinema and my mind was just blown because there's also lots of stuff happening. Like there's action, love, drama, crime, and I remembered that I liked it mostly because of the complexity of the characters. Like we don't just follow the protagonist; we follow lots of people.
There's a choral story. It's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
story of an entire, not
Favelas.
country, but city.
Yeah, and that's mostly what I like about films. Like we don't just follow one character. Every character is there for a reason, even if they're like supporting characters. The plot was also unpredictable to me when the characters and story don't just follow a structure or a scheme. They go beyond the conventional schemes.
Well, because you have a director or a writer that is so good that it can create a structure that is not a structure. Because we feel like it's not structured,
But there's
but there
still
there
a
is
structure.
still a structure in the screenplay that we
Mhm.
do not see. And so when it's chaotically good,
Chaotically
they
good,
mean
yeah.
that they mean that they did the job
Mhm.
in the right way. Because like the risk when you do this, it's that the viewer forgets things.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, while in City of God, you don't forget any of the characters,
Yeah, there's
especially when there's the time
foreshadowing.
jump
Mhm.
of like the kids. Because in the first half, not half, but like first 30 minutes, I
Yeah, they
think
started off as
they're
kids.
kids,
Mhm.
and then
We followed
they're
them through
teenagers,
adulthood.
early adults,
Mhm.
and you remember all the characters, all that happened to them, and even the violence is justified,
Mhm.
not justified, but you
You
come
understand?
into a sense of like I understand why all of these things happen.
It's all domino effect.
And it also tells you like history of Brazil of
Mhm.
what happened in that period of time, and also like people were not actors. Like the actors were not actors. Like they came from local theaters.
Mhm.
Some of them were not actors. They participated in the production. They were collecting people on the street, and I think that they made the film even more authentic.
Yeah,
Which
exactly. The
is the thing,
spontaneity.
yeah. Which is the thing that I think that American films don't have anymore,
Mhm.
and only films from other countries have.
Yeah,
Because
sometimes
they're
you
so
need a
fucking poor that they, they're so fucking poor that they have to hire people, hire people that don't know their job
I mean,
just because they don't have the money to do it.
yeah, but there's also a pro and con to that. Like, of course, the con
Yeah,
mostly is about the budget, but the pro to that is that,
you have
um,
authenticity.
yeah,
You gain in
authenticity,
that.
the spontaneity of the filmmaking.
It was probably a tweet that I
Mhm.
saw, and it was like, this is what happens when you give an opportunity to working class kids. And it's not about films, but it's about TV shows.
Mhm.
Because um, in the UK, there was this show which I was raised with, which is Skins.
Mhm.
And Skins basically was like a trampoline for a lot of actors that we now see on the screen. Like Nicholas Hoult was basically born from Skins. Dev Patel.
Mhm. Oh.
Dev Patel came from Skins season one, generation one,
Mhm.
and he was working class kid. Nicholas Hoult was a working class. Well, he was already doing acting before, but like it doesn't come. It's not an apple baby. It
Mhm.
doesn't come from a rich
Mhm.
family. Then there was also Jack O'Connell, which now is it was in Sinners,
Mhm.
but he plays the bad vampire of the film. And then there's also who was that? Because there was Dev Patel, there was Nicholas Holt, there was Jack O'Connor, then there was also someone else. Like people go from skins and then they become these huge stars and actors and
Mhm.
actresses. And I think because in this case of like not looking for people that are professional in a way, you discover talent
You can
and you give us
experiment a lot.
authenticity. You can experiment a
Mhm.
lot. You can do things as a director. You
Yeah.
can do things that maybe you didn't thought you could do with a proper actor
Mhm.
that has limits and doesn't want to do certain
Yeah,
things.
exactly. Sometimes limits actually give opportunities
Yeah,
because sometimes you have to work with what you only have, like us.
like us in our fake studio. And then like yeah, because like I'm thinking like now Hollywood is full of nepo babies. But
Mhm.
like not that it's bad. There are some nepo babies that are good.
Yeah, yeah. But mostly,
Like who? I don't know. I'm trying to think to
but mostly in some films, they just seem too predictable that you're just like, okay, I'm just waiting for it to happen when. And sometimes there are films like City of God where you're just like, what just happened?
yeah. It's
Or the
like
plot twist in
Fight Club.
Fight Club. You didn't see it coming.
Yeah. Then my four favorite well, my
Mhm.
four favorite film, it's always on rotation. It's like it's like at Ono where there's like the permanent seaters and then there's one country that every year changes.
Yeah.
And well, before I had Dune Part 2,
Mhm.
amazing, great film. Then I had I'm Still Here by Walter Sages, which is Brazilian director. Now
Brazil.
I have The Motorcycle Diaries, also by Walter Sages, and also by a Brazilian director. And it's well, it changed my life. It's between the four films that I have is my most recent watch. I watched it I think almost a year ago. I was on holiday and I was like, I want to watch this film so bad. It's been on my watch list for ages. Then I watched it. I watched it on my iPad, and, like in the middle of the night, like this, and it changed my life. It's about the travels that Che Guevara and his best friend Alberto Granado did in after they finished university, and they were all around South America, and then by motorcycle,
Mhm.
and then they also help because Che Guevara graduated in medicine and his friend in pharmacy, I think,
Mhm.
something like that. And at some point they stop and they also help people in a hospital, and they discover more about South American history and how it's not what people always told them, and how because of the Yankees, which in the South in Spanish it's the Yankees are the white people, the Americans
Mhm.
from the United States, uh, ruined the country, ruined basically everything that they touch, and
In the
the
name of
yeah,
freedom.
the consequences of it, and how they say they want to export freedom, but they don't at the end. So it really like changed the way I think about the word, the way I see it, because the films go to analyze the impact that has on people and their everyday lives, not society as a whole. Like you can see the relationship that they have during this whole trip and how they discover and they change their mind and they also grow because they're like in their 20s too.
Mhm.
And you can see that after not after the ending of the film but during the ending of the film, you can see that they're changed person. Like they're like, oh my god, our
Fully
lives has
developed.
changed. Full development of the brain.
The frontal
and
lobe
frontal lobe
developing.
developing. And so, like, that at the end of the film, when they say goodbye to each other and they're done with these travels, they're just like, our lives changed forever. Oh my god, we can actually be impactful in some way. Well, they all led to, I don't want to do a history lesson, but then Che Guevara went to the America, in the North America, and then he got arrested, and blah blah blah, and went to Mexico and met, oh my god, Fidel Castro. Oh my god, I was like blacking out. I didn't remember. Met Fidel Castro, and then all of that Cuban Revolution and all of that. Yeah, shortly.
Shortly.
This is from 2004.
Mhm.
Then there's I'm Still Here, which he also won the Oscar for.
Mhm.
Then there's Central Station. Central Station is great. Then there's another film that I don't even have the name. If it comes up, we're gonna put it here.
Ta-da!
and uh, and I haven't watched this film that I don't remember the name of. But these three films that I watched by him, just great. Like, if you want to get into Brazilian cinema in a way, like, you don't want to start from old films. You can start from I'm Still Here, which also, as I said before, won the Oscar for Best Foreign Film.
Mhm.
It's just amazing. There's Fernando Torres that is amazing, and everybody that says that Ariana Grande deserved the Oscar and Fernando Torres didn't don't understand a thing. So yeah, they don't understand a thing about cinema, and yes. So yeah, just that. What is your full film?
One of my favorite films is Anora. We watched it together. Well,
Girlhood in a Spectrum.
girlhood, girl madness, just in
Beautiful.
her period. Uh,
Beautiful.
I really love it when films also question my morals, my beliefs, and just what society deems normal, taboo. This talks about sex workers, how they gets perceived.
It's Sean Baker's cinema.
Hmm.
Sean Baker's cinema is about society's problems, and if I think that he analyzes them from a different perspective that I really like. He talks to people that actually had that problem,
Hmm.
had live in that situation. This Anora, for people who don't know, it's about a sex worker that works as a stripper,
Hmm.
and meets this guy Ivan,
Hmm.
which is really hot, and
This Russian
is the
oligarch.
Russian Timothy Chalamet, and it's so hot. And they meet because Anora is as what is Russian origins, or
Hmm.
her
Her grandma was Russian.
grandma is Russian, so she knows Russian, and they start to talk together. And she thinks that she's falling in love. They kind of fall in love, and they
Exactly. It's
go on
like a
this,
Cinderella
yeah,
story.
more like a Pretty Woman story
Yeah.
too. Like, they go, and they're like, in a weekend they fall in love, and
Hmm.
they get married, and then they go back to reality, and they
Exactly.
realize that they cannot be together.
Hmm.
And
Two different status
Ivan is
quo.
a child that still lives off his parents,
A
basically.
spoiled brat.
Yeah, and Ivan's parents come to the America, to New York,
Mhm.
to get a divorce because they like, oh, we're such a rich family from Russia. You cannot get married to a hooker, and you can see how sad she becomes
Mhm.
till the end of the film, because she does not become sad. She becomes disillusioned.
Yeah,
She has,
disillusioned.
yeah, she has that because she's realized that, oh my god,
You
what have
cannot
I
just
done?
depend on a
Yeah,
man.
not only that, on that type of man, like,
Yeah.
even is a man child,
Mhm.
man child, and like, and then there's my favorite character of the film, which
Mhm.
is Igor.
Igor.
Igor. Igor is my favorite character of that film, and like, you can see at the end, she even tries to connect with Igor
Yeah.
through sex, but
She
Igor is
realized
like, I see other things from about you rather than
exactly.
just sex, because she's so used to be used by
Yeah,
people
just for her
just for
body.
that.
Well, it's the first time that she gets perceived as a woman who has her own thoughts.
Yeah, and
Not.
that's sad, and also like it's really sad because she then spoiler at the ending she tells also like she cries in Igor's arms, and
Yeah, in
she's
the
like,
car.
what have I done and everything. And
Mhm.
also like I loved how Sean Baker worked with the weather,
Mhm.
because you start this that it's winter,
Yeah, yeah.
but it's all sunny, it's all beautiful, it never rains. Or
Mhm.
and when everything starts to go down, when they have to look out for Ivan,
Mhm.
the weather becomes windy, it's really cold, and you can almost feel it because there's a scene where they all fight because they don't want to walk and they want to get a car because it's so cold. And then at the ending it's like heavy
Snowy.
snowing,
Yeah.
like you cannot even go out
Mhm.
because there's heavy snow. And this weather thing like moves with Anora's development.
Mhm.
And I don't know, like a lot of people said that they didn't like the film. A lot of men said that a lot of men.
Again,
I'm killing
taste is
all of
subjective.
our men audience with this. But yeah, a lot of men said that they didn't like this because, oh, who wants to watch a film about a stripper?
That's the thing.
I'm like,
Like,
that's a business that is working all because of you.
exactly. That film was made for you. It was, I mean, personally, I think it was also to see the perspective of a sex worker.
Hmm.
And the wonderful thing about this film is you also get to be empathetic towards them. You get to see the other side that they don't show mostly in media, because
Mm.
mostly sex is taboo in mainstream media. So yeah, it just doesn't talk about the complexity of the characters. It also treats about how Sean Baker also just thought about, okay, the weather is so snowy. How do we do this?
Yeah.
Let's do it inside a car. So.
Also, like I love how Sean Baker just does the research. He
Mhm.
involved the Russian people. For Anora, no Anora, sorry, Mikey Madison, which is the actress that plays Anora, studied Russian.
Mhm.
uh she studied and
Also,
she studied pole
yeah,
dancing. She
exactly.
trained for that. Sean Baker had the intimacy coordinator
Mhm.
that worked great on the entire production. He's like this, like he does research
Mhm.
on any social topic. And he the thing that I like that is that he talks with the people that live that.
Mhm.
So it's not a story that is told from a judgmental point of view.
Yeah, from
Like,
one
yeah,
point of view
the film
only.
is not supposed Anora is not supposed to be like, oh, you have to judge her because she
Mhm.
made bad choices, and you don't even have to feel bad for her. It's just
Mhm.
like, I'm showing you
This is
what
reality.
happens. Yeah,
Mhm.
this is what happens to people that live this is
Mhm.
not an exaggeration, this is reality, this is our problem. And then I also love Sean Baker because I think he's hot. and and also because
He researches.
he's pro cinema
Mhm.
rather than streaming. It's like you have to go to watch the films in cinema.
It's an experience. But
It's a,
that's what we're also gonna talk about in the
in
next
another it's
episodes.
gonna be something from another episode. We don't wanna spoil. No, it's not
Spoiler.
spoil anything.
Yeah, foreshadowing.
Yeah, for sure.
Foreshadowing.
We gatekeeping. Yeah, and then what you have?
Prince of Egypt, the
Mama,
very meaning,
Mamma Mia.
the very reason why I started animation. Because I came from a fine arts background. I was just drawing, sketching, illustrating, making comics. And then I watched The Prince of Egypt and I thought, wow, this is cinema. Like, this is animation. You get to fuse together drawing, music, writing, acting, everything. It's like a whole symphony of the arts, the orchestra. Also, the relationship between nature and man. How it's just. I remember this scene that is still etched inside my mind, where Moses just realized he's
Oh, there's Jew.
He's Jew. And I remember this scene where he was going towards the castle, and I can just remember his small figure compared to the wide landscape, and it was just so beautiful. And I thought, why don't we animate?
You can make that. I'm gonna make my own job.
We're making our own jobs.
When I watched, I was a
Really?
child.
Mm.
Like, yeah, I watched it when I was a child. I don't consider that like where it's gonna be for another episode, but I consider it like a lot of like a children's film.
Mhm.
Like I watched it when I was really little. I was
Mhm.
like 6.
Dang.
And I don't think you can get proper message and understand the epicness of the film if you're that little. I remember that. Well, I don't know if I can say that, but I was like, don't want to get into the religious stuff. Ew, because ew. And when I watched it when I was older,
Mhm.
well, it's I think one of the best animated films ever made.
Yes.
Ever
Especially
made.
the parting of the Red Sea,
And
which took them 2 years to animate.
yeah,
That was
and
crazy.
I'm like Disney, take some lessons. Take some lessons. And DreamWorks was like, you have to show how to make an animated film to them. And this was like, it's also one of those films that I hope they're never gonna make a live action
remake.
or a remake, because he has to stay
It's
like that.
already a masterpiece.
Yeah, it's the don't touch it, please. Don't do that, because it's like just so beautiful. I don't think it's just a film about Bible.
Yeah, like even if you're not religious,
Yeah, I'm not religious. I watched it and loved it.
it's art. Like it's just objectively good.
Yeah, it also talks about like family relationships,
Yeah.
adoption,
Identity crisis.
identity crisis, also religious crisis, and then it's also like just shows art at some
Yeah.
point, because like at some point some sequence are like, yeah, we didn't need to put that, but let's just prove that we can do things, like we can draw really good stuff. But I don't want to say anything else about animated films, just because we have like an episode coming is gonna be about
Animation is not only for kids, it's also for adults.
the fact that Western media, animated media, is for kids, while Eastern media, Asian, the television and anime and films are animated but are not considered for kids.
Yeah,
Simply
because
that.
in the
Yeah.
end, it's not really a genre, it's mostly a medium to convey
Yeah,
a story.
Yeah. And yeah, yes, we have if they want to sponsor us, La Septième Obsession and that I don't even remember the name of. Yes, sponsor us. We love you. And just that you can find us where Cyrene they can find us.
You can find us in Spotify, YouTube.
Follow us on Instagram. They are gonna appear here. And
please follow us on these socials
on TikTok and Instagram. And we're gonna put links in our description on YouTube, all where to find us, because she also has a profile about animation. Yeah, also here on YouTube, please like the video, comment, and tell us what are your favorite films. We want to hear your tea also about why are there those films your favorite ones. So yeah,
we just love yapping and hearing you yap about your favorite films. That's what we do in Films and Chill.
Oh, also follow us on Substack. I write great articles about episodes that are coming ahead of publishing the episode. So yeah.
See you guys on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.